What is up, everybody? It is Tog here. Welcome back to another summer standalone. Today I'm going to be showing a video that has changed its identity a couple of times, as I used to have a lot more save files right here. I saved them throughout my time with spring streams with Red Dead Redemption 2. Now in the summer I just completed the first stream and I made it to chapter 3, Clemens Point, finally, but through chapter 2 there were a lot of instances where I thought that perhaps I could make a summer standalone out of it, and one of them was I read this poem written by Mary Beth. She just called it a romance. It was very simple, and I wanted to read it just to do another reading one real quick and like add to her character. But going back throughout these saves trying to find that save, I couldn't find it, first of all, but I also found this book. That's the title of this standalone that I'll go ahead and read. It's on this save file. I can find it. It's on a couple of them as well, but I narrowed it down because for this one I want to do another standalone later on, and I think there's another one in between that I will be doing that doesn't really need a save file, so I could just do that at any other time. But let's go ahead and go here. Unfortunately, I'm going to add a little bit more, so that's why this might be slightly longer than it would seem if I'm just reading something really quickly, because there was another save file here that I was trying to find again, and I must have deleted it or lost it. I did delete all these save files where I spoke with her, and she was in the process of probably writing that romance that I was reading of hers that I couldn't find, and she said that she struggles, like everything that she writes turns into poppycock. And I thought it was really interesting to see their kind of relationship develop a little bit, and she was really happy when Sean came back, and she also has the red hair, so I wasn't sure if she liked this whole thing there. But if you've played this game before, you know that Arthur has a romance of his own with another girl also named Mary with a different last name. But this game is just kind of interesting because as much as it gives you freedom of choice, you can be moral or immoral. That's about as far as it goes in the direction that you take and all the engagements that you go into, like with strangers or missions that are optional like that. Whereas in other games such as like Bethesda, you can really like create your character as your own. But here you follow Arthur and you can learn a lot from other people's stories, and I think that's why this game was so powerful. But I wonder if maybe in the future, if they did make another Red Dead Redemption game, if they were to try to differentiate it with someone who you could make your own or even make your own person as. So I know they do that kind of in Red Dead Online, but I have never played that, and I don't know if I ever really will. Just, I don't know, that's kind of why I don't want to play Fallout 76 either. So this is our tent thing, but we're gonna go to Mary Beth's. But the issue is she asked me if I could get her a pen. Those are the types of things that I can't really find on my own, but if I do research like with Call of Duty, like I can find that. So they're sleeping, so we won't awake them, but this is the book that I was talking about, The Castle Above the Moor, and instead of reading the entirety of it, they just offer you one page. So let's go ahead and read what inspired her, because if anybody out there is a creator kind of like me in a sense, you started off by like finding something that you liked first and then trying to either replicate it or make it your own. And I think you have more success when you take inspiration, but you in the end make it your own. Let's go ahead and read the little part here, and then we're gonna go, I'll show you where you can get a pen for her if you want to develop a closer relationship with her. I did a little bit of reading to make sure she wasn't actually dating Sean, because I was like, dang, like what if I'm like low-key trying to swoop in and take his girl? And I'm not trying to be like that, but I just think since this game kind of forces you into that relationship with the other Mary, and you can't create relationships like you can in other games with characters, I just was curious because I feel like in another life, because in the streams, I didn't have any of those conversations with her. I was just kind of steadily going along because I'm trying to progress through the story, as you'll see in the specials that I'm doing for it in a not too future, but future. There's going to be 5 of them throughout the next 6 years. I think this is a very fascinating like ideology about it all. So you can't really read from the beginning of the chapter, but you can read from the beginning of page 354. Forevermore be doomed to a life of unimaginable suffering, Eleanor swooned. Yet surely the Duke was dead. She had seen him thrown off the galleon with her own 2 beautiful gray eyes. Could this dashing and handsome vagabond with a scar across his cheek really be him? It seemed impossible, yet in her heart she knew it was true as their love that bound them together like swans that had been tied together. And yet now, instead of embracing her true love or walking with him across the windswept moors, she had sent him off to a certain death, all because of that dastardly trick played by her own evil cousin. This sudden flash of truth gave Lady Eleanor back her truest possession, her own strength as a lady. Slowly, she raised herself from the rich burgundy velvet-covered chaise longue and cleared her perfectly shaped throat, while the wind blew her beautiful magenta gown and her even more beautiful flowing hair appropriately. "Sir Mulberry, a word with you before you go," she gasped, bravely but breathlessly. Sir Mulberry turned slowly. He stared blankly at the woman, the lady, the true lady, he thought, incorrectly. He was about to forever trick deceitfully into becoming his wife. So he stared blankly at the woman, the lady, and the true lady. He was thinking that it wasn't the true lady after all. He was going to trick this lady into becoming his wife, and knew instantly by the look of honesty, simplicity, and truth in her beautiful gray eyes that all of his lies and deceits had not worked, as they never could when faced by such a lady. So it seems the lady here is the... It's kind of cool if they're not really using names here. Oh yeah, they are. Lady Eleanor, it seems. But they're showing her as the good and the man as the bad, which can be sometimes shown, but we'll see, we'll see. "Yes, my lady," he spluttered nervously. "That man we just sent to the deepest dungeon in all Britain's great empire was not a Bearberry pirate at all, was he?" she commanded imperiously. She felt the strength of truth and goodness raise her up tall and proud like the prow of a great battleship, just as her enemy seemed to shrivel wretchedly like a sniveling big-nosed moneylender in front of her. Moneylenders. Kind of reminds you of somebody, but not quite Arthur. "I don't understand," he ejaculated furtively, choice of words intentional. "I have never been so insulted in all my life," he added idiotically. "No, sir, that man we sent to almost certain death was not the Moorish scourge of Cornwall at all. That man was your own true cousin, the Duke of Hepworth, who you claimed was dead." "The Duke?" he spat, desperately, realizing that all his lies and tricks had come to naught when faced with the righteousness of Lady Eleanor. "You're correct. The Duke is not dead. I lied because I was a fool, and believed the words of foreigners. Guards, arrest this man. He's a traitor to the king and a liar and a man of no honor." Yet Sir Mulberry, despite being a traitor and a liar, had just enough honor and English pluck left to see his own vile shame for what it was, unbecoming to an English gentleman. Before he could be arrested disgracefully, with one last look at the beautiful Lady Eleanor, the lady who he had tricked, but who had now defeated him, he threw himself from the castle window, to be dashed forlornly on the jagged rocks and tempestuous waves crashing tempestuously below. Jeez, tempestuous. Lady Eleanor sighed sadly. "It's very sad. He was once a good and brave man, but then greed and lies overtook him," she lamented, lamentably. A lot of excessive alliteration, like not even just the first sound, it is the first syllables. If that can even... I think that's a different... different word, and I didn't study too much English after high school, but I'm pretty sure there is something about using the same words repeatedly that is not alliteration, because I think that is just the first sound, the initial sound. It's like my father always said, when an Englishman realizes he has acted with all the lack of pluck and honesty one expects of a foreigner, then dashing yourself upon rocks and tempestuous waves is the only course of action, said her trusty and loyal maidservant, Bess, comfortingly. "We must hurry, for the ship is carrying the real Duke to his certain death," said Lady Eleanor suddenly and unrelatedly, and ran breathlessly through the castle and down the highest spiral staircase in all England. After having crossed the drawbridge, she leapt urgently upon her white charger, Bessie. Bessie whinnied bravely, and then raced bravely across the windswept moors furiously. She hoped earnestly that she could save the life of the one man that she had loved, and who loved her too. She would not be too late, she told herself and Bessie, pointlessly. Bessie whinnied again, still very bravely. So that's only one page out of like an entire book, and I guess for credit we'll see who was the author of the book, just to be kind. A Mrs. Hescott Childers, so a married woman, very interesting. So you can make your own judgments on that quality of writing. I would say it could be kind of confusing, and that sometimes happens even with the other Skyrim ratings that I've edited now. Once I end up editing them, they become more clear to me. So it seems like I'm going to have a little bit of trouble navigating the fog, but I do want to look for... Shut up, Hosea, this isn't the time. I do want to look for... I don't even recognize this horse anymore, the Tennessee Walker. It's before I had a name for it.
Hey, what's that horse doing in
Just
here?
calm down.
I'm trying to get away from here, thanks, though. Oh my god. I'm going to have to take a horse, ain't I? It's whatever. I'll... Okay, come on, boy. Let's go, that's it. Take the lead, why not? You can make your own judgments on that, and her writing was a lot shorter than that. But I think sometimes, like, you gotta start somewhere, and maybe throughout the game she'll have more instances of writing that we can read, if I find that, but I don't know. The summer standalones are only gonna last so long, so it's not really, like, a big priority for the channel. It was just something I wanted to attempt and gauge. Like, that's what a lot of this summer is just gauging results, like, how people feel about certain things. Let's see if I can see a sign that says Emerald Ranch. Yep, that's perfect. Let me put my hat back on. Even if that may not sound great to you, you might think it's bad. At least she did it. At least she sold it. And I think Mary Beth did like it, you know? So, like, I think that's a good thing to just, like, put out what you want to put out and see what you can figure out and, like, learn steadily and progress and see if you can move people. Because I think that book did inspire her to take up writing on her own. And although this isn't the save that I'm using for this game, this is the video that I'm uploading for the channel. So it's lasting longer in a different sense, like on the channel, whereas it's not going to be very long-lived in this game, which is kind of like how my playthrough is kind of turning out, because I didn't have any of those conversations with her. It's cool that I was able to have them in other save files to like learn more about her and how she's feeling about her writing and her lack of confidence, and that's not really the point of the game, to encourage her to like take up writing and stuff, but I think it is a very worthwhile game to play, and it shows that even though this game you can just progress through the story and get, like, it is a very good, interesting story, you can also like live in the world a little bit and take your time with it, which is something that I don't have the luxury of doing on my stream, which is okay. Maybe in the future I could play it again, but there's just limited time in such a life, so we'll see. But I do know where this cabin is with the fountain pen, so I'm gonna show it, and maybe in a future playthrough. I don't know if she'll still ask me for it. That's the only thing. Like, she might not know if she even wants it if I can't have that engagement with her again. But if you're curious about it, we can why not? Why not go ahead and show it? And yeah, my compass is not on the screen at all times. I did that for immersion purposes, just so it wasn't so distracting and I could see more of the scenery, and I just check it here and there. The cabin is a little bit ways off the road. The Red Dead Wiki is something I've never really used before, but I want to start using it because it's very hard for me to read the treasure map, so I can't explore them. There's side missions like dinosaur bones and fish that you can use help on. In other games like Call of Duty and Far Cry, I've used those wikias, and they're very, very helpful. So I need to go about here-ish. So let's see if I can do a little better job of navigating here. Every little area and every little... oh, I just ran something over. Every little area and every little like hut and stuff like that has its own story, so we'll see that here. I think I just dodged a train, so that's pretty good timing. And we're getting some rain. Now that I'm opening up a little bit of this map, hopefully it's a little bit easier to find what I'm looking for, because I know exactly what it looks like on the map, and I think it might be that over there. Can't be certain, but we'll shortly find out. No, it's not. I believe it is up there. Yeah, it's about here. I've never seen this before. It takes a lot of like open world exploring or knowing where to look. See this little place? It's a little tiny little cabin. Maybe I'll come back here in the future during one of my streams if I have the time, or in the same playthrough after I've done everything I was looking for. So yeah, it's not a very pretty sight to behold, and it's kind of confusing to see how they all died, but it does seem like it had something to do with they were locked in and smoke and such. I don't really know how it happened, but it did. I think they must have been locked in. So let's go ahead and air that out, and let's look for the pen. I don't really know where it is, but apparently this you can also give to Jack if he asks for it, this Otis Miller book. And the black-haired lady. I'm not really looking to read that. If you want to pause it and read it, you can, but we're focused on Mary Beth, not Jack. Even though I'm learning a little bit more about him throughout playing the game again. But let's see, maybe the pen is here. I also heard that someone said they couldn't find it after the fact, so maybe it's something kind of like you have to be asked for it in order to find it. Although, that wouldn't make sense, because then why was I able to find that? Let's see, if I was a pen. There it is. And I guess we can take the opened cocaine gum. So I don't know that I'll be able to give it to her, but I might come back and try it again or see if she asks me for it in the future. But I do think that there's some timed things, so it's definitely good to take some time and explore and talk to the characters if you want to develop more relationships with them or just learn more about each of the characters, because they're pretty interesting gang members with troubled pasts, just like Arthur himself, but we don't get as much time with them because you're not pressured to. No matter how linear this game may be, everyone has their own experience with it, and I think that's what made it so successful in the first place. But I hope you enjoyed this standalone. It was a little bit upsetting, I know, but romance often is. I just thought it was interesting to think about other possibilities that may have been in Arthur's life had he not been so hung up on the one. Because I actually turned her down in this playthrough, whereas in the other one I went through all of it. And it was nice, because if you go through all of them, you can go on a little date with her and it's cute, but it's short-lived because you can never really, like, if her family doesn't like you, things like that. It's just... there's a lot of books like that, but it's true. You don't just marry the girl, you marry her family too, and her friends for that matter. So it's important to have a good relationship with all of them, unless you're planning to take her away from all of them, which I don't know. I'm no relationship expert, but I don't know if I fully agree with taking her out of her own life. But sometimes people get married to get another life for themselves, so it's all about choice at the end of the day. But you are free to make your own choices, you're just not free to live free of the consequences of those choices. So I'll close it on that note. It's been Tog. I hope you enjoy your night, evening, morning, whatever it is that you're doing. Another standalone should be coming. I don't know if it'll be next Tuesday, but maybe it will be. Peace out.